Good evening. It is 6 o'clock straight up, and I would like to commence the Orange County Mid-Decennial Redistricting Advisory Committee meeting for June 18th. Welcome. The agenda was posted publicly. We've got a lot to do today, so let's go ahead and get started. Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Member Olszewski? Here. Member Jackson? Here. Member Tilsheimer? Here. Member De La Portilla? Here. Member Arias? Member Talon? Member Washington? Here. Member Jones? Here. Co-Chair Perez?
Present.
Co-Chair Evans?
Present.
Member Baga?
Here.
Member Spears?
Here.
Member Alfont?
Presente.
Member Pazzini? Here. Member Henry? You have a quorum.
Thank you, sir. We'll move into public comment. If you are here to make a public comment, please fill out a public comment card. I've got 4 only for speakers. Cards are out in the front. If you don't fill out a card, I can't recognize you to speak. And the only time to speak during this meeting is during our public comment session. So please, if you want to speak, fill out a card. I will say we have Commissioner Myra Uribe here to bring us some greetings. Some other commissioners may or may not attend, but Myra is here. Commissioner Uribe.
Good evening, board. I was just sharing with Ms. Vargo. I didn't get to see you all last week because I was out of town at a conference representing Orange County, but I want to thank you for your due diligence. I have been looking at maps, so I'm now looking a lot more, and I really want to appreciate some of the members, including Mr. Alfon and others that have been submitted that you guys may or may not be discussing tonight. But it looks like you're really taking seriously the concerns and questions that are being brought up. Recently, you guys might have received a memo from one of my lake advisory boards about an MSBU, Holden Lake. You might have seen it. We got a copy of it because it's my district. And they were trying to keep MSBUs together, but I wanted to just kind of notate we have to be cautious because, for instance, this MSBU actually has the City of Orlando and unincorporated Orange County in it. So it's not as contiguous as what we think it is. I also appreciate that I'm hearing more and more people in the community wanting to know what's happening. I've done some videos on social media to tell people, hey, you're probably more than not going to have to vote for a new county commissioner in the next election. And even though you might have just voted for yours, there's been changes. So I think we're getting folks to actually wake up, to realize, to be concerned. I know we've seen in the past more speakers when we're out in the community, but I hope you realize we're sharing that information. We will continue to have that dialogue. And I look forward to seeing what you finally move forward and present to us, because I think it'll be a healthy discussion. I think at one point, everyone on our board has been in front of you all. They've been listening and they're hearing these concerns. And just know that I wanted to just stop by tonight to thank you again for all of your service, let you know some of the things that we're hearing, and let you know that we're also promoting this. And we will see you guys all July 9th after the holiday. So look forward to what happens tonight. Thank you all.
Thank you, Commissioner. We received an electronic comment from Brandon Baldoff. We're submitting a copy to the record and to the clerk. And now we will commence public comment. Again, I've got 5. If anyone else wishes to speak, please fill out a form. Our first speaker is David Terry. When you come to the microphone, please give us your name and address, and you'll have 3 minutes. And David will be followed by Trini Quiros. We've missed you, Trini. It's nice to have you back. David.
Good evening. My name is David Terry. My address is 8103 Laughing Gull Street, Winter Garden, Florida. That takes about the first sentence. Good evening. My name is David Terry, and I've lived in Orange County for over 27 years, and in Horizon with my wife and daughter for the last 16, long before the massive growth began to overwhelm us. I want to thank this committee for your time, attention, and volunteer service. I also want to thank those who have submitted maps that begin to separate unincorporated Horizon West from the incorporated communities to our north. That shift is critical to achieving fair representation. Grow beyond 100,000 residents. It is one of the fastest growing areas in all of Florida. But what makes it truly unique is not just the growth, it's the intentional design, the community-focused atmosphere, and the connected way our neighbors live. That provides scholarships and educational programs for local students across Horizon West, Winter Garden, and Ocoee. This experience has provided me a unique perspective into how different these areas are and how important it is that they receive representation from their own focused county leaders. These highly disparate areas, combining some of our oldest communities with one of our newest, prevents the elected county commissioner from focusing on the unique problems of each. Despite our massive growth in tax contributions, Horizon West remains underserved. Horizon West is not receiving the level of services, infrastructure, or attention that aligns with what we are contributing, and we need a commission district designed to be focused on our needs. This is why we need a district map that gives Horizon West the focus and advocacy it deserves. We need a commissioner who has the time to focus on our community. It cannot be done properly if you combine the incorporated and unincorporated areas of West Orange into one district. The incorporated areas have their own elected leaders to advocate for them. In Horizon West, all we have is our county commissioner. Now, we understand that we are not yet large enough to stand completely on our own. And while I firmly believe that Horizon West will need to incorporate in the near future, for now, it is reasonable that we would remain with nearby areas such as Dr. Phillips and even Williamsburg. We also share borders and similar frustrations with the Avalon Rural Settlement, a community that understands the risks of being overwhelmed by rapid growth. We're not asking for special treatment, we're simply asking for fair treatment. We deserve a district where Horizon West is a central focus. Thank you for your time and service.
Trini, before you speak, I'm sorry, Commissioner Wilson has made her way. I'd like to give her the floor for a few minutes to bring greetings. Okay, as you wish, just know you're always welcome. Sorry, Trini, you got to get up again.
Good evening, Trini Quiroz, 2000 Hillcrest, Orlando. I support 100% what the speaker before me said, but I would like to add something that has been troubling me. To the public that is listening through the internet, and I don't know, because I try to look at the internet and I don't see anything. Are these things being put in the internet? Something is wrong. But for those who are not here, because it's so difficult to get here, when the 8 districts are available, you're going to have the responsibility to elect 8 individuals. Do not elect children to kindergarten. This county is in perilous situation in time. And the taxpayers, we the taxpayers are the ones that are given the burden to support everything that is good and not good. And if I will have the time, I will give a list of everything that, in my opinion, doesn't help the taxpayers of this county. We can give 700 million here, 500 million there, but not one bed, not one shelter for those who carry the burden from 20 years to now and no longer can sustain themselves economically because they don't make the kind of money that is needed, like $60,000 per year. I don't know who makes that kind of money in the working class. So make sure you know who you're going to put your confidence and your trust, who you're going to give your sacred vote, because if the powers that we have it, there'll be no more elections. There'll be nothing to choose. And we can see what is going on nationwide. Like I've been saying for the last few meetings in the local BCC and now at DCC, pretty soon, okay? Nazi Germany-like government is going to be in the United States of America. If they did it with 37 million over there 80 years ago, they'll do it with 347 million here. So my concern, gentlemen and ladies, there are 6 attorneys sitting there. The responsibility is in your shoulders. Make sure that the districts are properly representing of the 1,500,000 people that live in this county that is spending more than it should, and we don't see really the benefits to the people who need it the most. Remember, the homeless, the needy. If you know how to do what is right and you choose not to, not only you, but anybody that lives off the back of the taxpayers, God will demand it from you. I had nothing nice to say except whatever my heart tells me to do, because the people suffer for lack of resources and for lack of knowledge. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Quiroz. Vicky Vargo.
Vicky Vargo, 3800 Wingfoot Court, Orlando, Florida. And I just want to say that when you see my map, there was a lot of discussion at the very beginning. And I kind of took that confusion with me when I drew my maps as far as the numbering. And so you're going to see that the numbering isn't right, like 5 and 8 and 7 in particular. So I'm presuming that you can number however you want. So I just wanted to share that with you, that was an inadvertent error. So 5 isn't Summeron, but I'm presuming that you can correct that on your own. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Fargo. Salil Gupti? Gupta. Okay, I think. Does that look like an 80?
Thank you for giving me an opportunity. I'm Salil Gupta. I am a newborn specialist.
Your address, sir, I'm sorry.
What was that?
Your address, please.
My address is 13803 Jomet Loop in Winter Garden. I'm a retired physician. I was born and brought up in India, and I came to this country in '83. I trained as an OBGYN in India, and then I did pediatrics and neonatology. I have started 4 neonatal ICU. My first neonatal ICU was at Scott Air Force Base, where I have in my professional work dealt with a lot of elected representatives because of the need that I felt that without the help of elected officials, we can't really get a lot of things done. And so I'm keenly aware of what is needed, and I have been a service-oriented person. Even after retirement, I have worked with many service organizations, including Matthews Hope in Winter Garden. I am involved with teaching residents and students as a faculty of University of Central Florida and at the new medical school in Winter Garden, the Osteopathic College of Medicine. So I know there is massive growth going on, and it seems that there are so many roadblocks for even for people like me. As a simple example, recently I had put my license for retirement, and it took me over a year and multiple phone calls, multiple email to Tallahassee. Eventually I had to seek the help of local representatives, and I just think it is important for us to have elected officials who are able to tackle the problem of average resident as well as all businesses. The redistricting from a friend of mine so that we can have 2 districts, north and south. And so the Winter Garden is separated from the Horizon West because Horizon West is growing like crazy. And as the previous speaker have said, we need elected officials to help every resident. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Kevin Kelly. And he will be followed by Reed McCoy, and that is my last speaker. Fill out a card now so we can get you on the roster. Mr. Kelly, if you'll give us your name and address.
All right. Kevin Kelly, 4315 India Road in Windermere, sort of. Just want to comment on the 3 maps that you have up tonight. The Spears 4 map, I would recommend not moving it along. I'm troubled by the actual size of District 1 and the reorientation of it. When I think back to the meetings that we had in the districts, I actually made a comment about Commissioner Uribe's area, that it's huge in terms of what she has to cover, and it doesn't mean that she should have to, right? But she does a good job covering that. And I have not talked to Commissioner Wilson about this, but this radically changes her district right now, and it creates, I get that it creates the single district in Pine Hills, which a lot of folks are advocating for, but I don't think that it's actually a good use of that western part of the map. Mr. Washington's first map, I'm also going to recommend to pass on that, only because although it looks at the north-south in the western part and Horizon West, it eats too far from District 2 into District 1, so you can get more balance. Although I do like the concepts for Pine Hills. So I am the map that Mr. Kilsheimer submitted for Vicky Vargo, and I'd like to support that. I think it does a good job of splitting, or starting to split the Horizon West problem. I think it does an actually pretty good job in some of the other areas that are challenged, especially when we talk about, again, distance and the ability for the commissioners to get around and address their audiences. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kelly. Our final speaker, unless someone wishes to fill out a comment card, is Mr. Reed McCoy. You good? Okay. Oh, and my co-chair advising Commissioner Scott has arrived, if you want to make some comments, Commissioner. And Commissioner Wilson, the microphone is still open for you if you want them. I'm just saying, I'm just making it clear.
Good evening, good people. How y'all doing? Maybe Commissioner Wilson might speak after I speak. Depending if I say the right words, I can probably get her to get up out of her seat. I was thinking about the different individuals and organizations that have come before you in this process to talk about what is important to them as it relates to their community, right? So they're bringing the news to you, right? So as I got here, it seems like it might rain. No one told me that, but I just know from experience. I say that in the context of as we continue through this process, whether it's through meeting minutes, videos, or in-person attendance, I would say look deeper into the communities. I'm sure you can find at least one part or a few parts that you may be missing about the uniqueness and the importance of any given community in this county, in any given district. And I want to impress that upon you in this process, because you have the data folks, the attorneys, the staff, in a role to represent people. That's one part of a decision-making process. The other part is factoring in their thoughts, their wishes in comparison to how you interpret and apply the laws that govern the decisions that you will make for the maps that we will ultimately adopt. And so for those who have not had the opportunity to sit in a 2 or 3 hour community meeting for, issues that may seem mundane or routine, they are awe-inspiring, like life-changing decisions for some of these people. I spent time with Orla Vista last night, and their biggest thing was, okay, yeah, you did the flooding, but what happens if the power goes out? Will these pumps hold up? Just different things. And so as you continue to engage in the process, ask yourself, what are you missing? You've had a lot of people come, a lot of organizations reach out in a number of ways. All right, that's what you know. What do you think you're missing, and how can you capture the essence of any given district and also the entirety of Orange County? Because also what you all have heard is that, okay, we should do this in 2030, or you're missing this number or that. I think as much as possible, trying to make sure that you capture not only the essence of any given district, but the essence of the communities within and the whole of Orange County. You guys consider the 3 maps I think you have today and 4 or 5 maps you'll have in the next meeting. Ask yourself what's missing from this conversation, whose voice may not have been heard but is just as important. Because I can think of all the beautiful things in my district and the beautiful people and organizations as Commissioner Wilson or Commissioner Uribe and just the historic uniqueness. But that's from our perspective, from our experiences. There's always something that's missing, and you'll never ever get it right? But the goal, I think the love and the beauty is in the effort. Did you make the effort to make sure you captured as much of the voice of the people as possible in this process that ultimately leads to the maps that you recommend to us? So as I've said before and many times, thank you for your time, because I think you're going to give a lot more of it as we start to review more of these maps. And I'm just grateful that you all decided to take a moment away from the people, the things that you love to do, to share some of that time with your neighbors and strangers. So thank you.
Any other public comment before we close? Okay, seeing none, we'll close public comment and move into review and approval of the minutes. The minutes were provided electronically and are in your packet. Does anyone have any corrections, deletions, or is there a motion to approve? Got a motion to approve from Mr. Alfont.
Second.
And a second from Co-Chair Evans. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. The minutes are approved. We'll move into administrative matters and review a schedule. And I'm going to steal you guys' thunder, because yesterday the County Commission approved moving our absence requirement from 3 to 5. So for those of you who have had illness or business trips or whatever and stressing about, one more meeting is all I have left, we're at 5 now. So meetings left. So I think we should survive this process. But the County Commission did listen. I thank the commissioners for doing that for us. Co-Chair Evans, do you have anything on the administrative side? No, sir. Nope. Attorney White.
Yes, good evening. This is just a procedural matter. I just wanted to make sure that the clerk notated that Member Allen joined us.
Yes.
Thank you.
I was going to say, I'm afraid he's going to make himself known, but that's okay. Lawon?
Related to the resolution and the increase in the number of absences that are allowed, we will get to you if you're not sure where you are, because some of you may not be aware of where you are. We will be doing a full membership attendance matrix where you will see where you were absent, and it'll be your opportunity to correct, because we want to make sure that the record is correct. So you will be getting that at your next meeting, and your next meeting will be July 9th, and it will be here at the BCC chambers.
Thank you. Scott?
We've come to that point in the map submittal. Everybody was excited about that. July 3rd is our final submittal date, so we are at the point where that'll be the last date that people can submit maps for consideration. That's 11:59 p.m. on July 3rd. I will send out a reminder to the whole committee as to which documents are required, where we need to send those map requests to. We have to make sure an agenda request form is filled out. So I'll send all that information again so that everybody has it at their fingertips. If anyone has any questions about getting their map submitted, please reach out to me, the GIS team, our consultants. We're all here to help you get those maps submitted.
Thank you, Scott. And if we could ask, because I suspect there's going to be a pretty good rush of maps between now and the 6th, or at least I hope so we can continue this process. Just know what I would like to do, because when we start our meetings after the 6th, we may have a handful of maps backed up, and we may do a handful the first week and a handful the following week instead of sitting here all night trying to go through those. I would ask staff to put them in order of when received. So if you want to get them in sooner so that staff can handle them and process them, that will be very helpful to staff. Does anyone else have any general administrative comments, questions, concerns? Jim?
Sorry. I've discussed this happened in previous ones. We've never discussed this, but technically you have until July the 3rd to submit the maps, correct? What if somebody wants to withdraw their map and submit a new one? Could that be considered as the same map, or would that be consider as a different map. And I'm saying this because some people have come to me and say, look, I took out a commissioner, I want to go back and readdress that issue and find a way. And my answer was that, my promise was I would discuss it with the board tonight.
And Scott, correct me if I'm wrong, and I hope I'm not. My answer to you, Jimmy, would be submit the map, because we will be able to change maps on the fly after these meetings begin. So once we're reviewing, right now we still have one, but once we review the maps that are in our portfolio, as we live in the meeting, we'll be able to move lines, change things around. So if it's somebody who submits the map and at that meeting says, oops, I made a mistake, the board, if we want to pass it subject to that so that we can review it later. But those tweaks, technical support, we'll have our consultants here, we'll have screens where we can modify maps on the fly and get the necessary data that we have.
Okay. Thank you.
Anyone else, any other administrative? Yeah, Bobby.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You mentioned, you hit upon it right now a little bit, but then at the end of our last meeting, you mentioned that you were a little concerned about the sparse numbers of maps. But what you just said is we're able to take any map and modify it as a committee. So I mean, I just want to make sure procedurally that, you know, we can have limited numbers of maps, but be able to, you know, draw and add and contort that map any way we see as a committee member. And again, just to reiterate, we are under no obligation to have to submit every map that we receive, correct?
Okay, those are two questions.
Yeah.
Question number one, we can be able to work with and manipulate every map that we have passed on, not passed on. So that's crazy. So any map that we have included and approved, we'll be able to use those and manipulate those. So if we pass any of these tonight, those will be fair game for wholesale changes on the floor of that meeting. If it's a map that we have not adopted and we did not move forward, those we cannot pull back up during that process. Your second question, do we do for the general public? We do not. You have to sign your name onto that map as well. If it's not something that you approve of or support of, there are 15 of us up here. I would suggest, and if you're in the public asking for someone to carry a map for you, spread out the wealth and just see if one person doesn't do it, another one may well. You are under no obligation to advance every map you're given.
I appreciate that, Mr. Chairman. It looks like I think we have some good maps to work with as a committee, and I was just questioning whether we just need to keep adding to the scale when we have a good workable product.
That's exactly what will be decided
that.
after this next week. Yep, perfect. Thanks, Bobby. Anybody else? Any thoughts, comments?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
So looking at the website, I guess, our the plan adoption, is our last meeting August 18th or September 3rd?
September 3rd.
Okay.
And unless we get it done early. We got it done early last time. Last time I said we would get it done early. And we may get it done August 18th. I don't know. There's no reason to meet. So if we can get it done sooner, that's perfect. The last scheduled meeting is September 6th. Okay.
I'm sorry, Mr. Co-Chair. I just wanted to, I didn't mention this, I just wanted to advise everyone that there are 3 maps that are under legal review. And those maps are posted on the website. They are Baga 2, Washington 2, and Washington 3.
Great. Thank you. Okay. That's been announced. We're going to move into our discussion agenda of maps. Gordon, are you ready to present your map presenter?
Yes, I'm not going to present, but Mr. Pham, who actually created the map, has told me that he has a presentation prepared for us.
Wonderful. Mr. Pham, you've got 5 minutes, and then we'll have 15 minutes of discussion beyond that. We run a little long. We have 3 maps, but we may be able to make some room for you. Just be tight and let's go.
Great. Thank you very much. My name is Calvin Pham. I am a resident of District 5, which is why I reached out to Mr. Spears. Thank you very much for sponsoring this map for review. I just wanted to start off in this presentation with the core principles that I used. The top principle there is to have no precinct be split. I have volunteered and worked in elections before as a poll worker, so I did have some appreciation for what the supervisor of elections was asking for and requesting with the precinct situation. So I tried to make sure that every precinct was not split, and that's exactly what is presented across this entire map. The other thing that I note is that I wanted to provide sufficient flexibility so that whenever the next redistricting happens due to the census, there are plenty of lines to work with, precincts that could be split, things that could be reorganized, because as you can see, there are some precincts that are rather jagged in their edges, and that just has to do with the way the development patterns have happened throughout the county in the past many years. The other ideals and principles behind this map was to follow and either extend some of the boundaries that were already presented by the current 6-district map. So that's why you'll see a lot of the boundaries remain intact, or if they aren't intact, that they are extended in some meaningful way for the creation of new districts or for the reformation of the existing ones. And finally, with the fourth point that you see there, the urban and rural identity and environmental interest is going to be a key consideration throughout. So starting with districts 1 and 8, and I characterize these together because effectively what you see with District 8 is that it's predominantly the existing District 1, the southern portion, plus 2 precincts out of District 3, and that was just to adjust for population. But moving on to District 1, the core principle here was to have all of the precincts that are abutting Lake Apopka be in a district together. I thought that that was an appropriate consideration and a different consideration than what's been talked about before, just because of the environmental situation with Lake Apopka and its environmental history and communities that abut it, whether that's fertilizer runoff or other issues that pertain to proximity to the lake. Moving on to District 2, so effectively a good contingent of District 2 is in that new District 1, but then District 2 adopts the remaining areas of the existing District 2 and then pulls in the municipalities of Maitland and Winter Park, less 1 precinct. District 3 was probably changed the most dramatically, just considering its central portion on the map. But still, I tried to keep it as central as possible, adopting the precincts that were east of I-4 from District 6, and then continuing on to the south, following the division with existing District 4 through the airport, just to have like a line of delineation that I thought was sort of neatly aligning things north and south of the airport with respect to runways on the west versus runways on the east. And that brings us to District 4, again, kind of taking away from the adjustments in precincts to the west of the existing District 4, but extending north from the airport, keeping Cimarron as that dividing line, but having Districts 4 and 5 largely remain intact to the east, and that's just because when it comes to environmental champions and the possibility of having commissioners who are championing the environment, Districts 4 and 5 having that considerable portion is what I find preferable instead of consolidating all of the rural lands into a single District 5 or District 4 or whatever district might be drawn out to the east. And again, as a resident of District 5, I found that the incorporated areas with Maitland, Winter Park, and Orlando to the west were perhaps better suited for an urban district or to be consolidated with other districts. So that's what's been removed from the western portion of District 5. District 6, I do apologize that with the last two meetings, I did submit this map before hearing the discussion of the previous two meetings. I understand that through the discussion, Tangelo Park is an important consideration for maintaining.
Yeah, we'll give you about another 5 minutes.
Okay,
Hopefully it won't take more than that.
It's an important consideration for maintaining in District 6. And I did go back and look at the numbers. And, you know, while I couldn't necessarily submit an amended map, I do believe that with District 6, if the map were to be advanced tonight, that come your deliberations in July and in August, that you would be able to make that simple change and the numbers would not fluctuate dramatically or outside of the acceptable ranges for Districts 6 or 3. And then moving on to District 7, this is not necessarily to say what is left over after making all of those other changes, but as the adjustments were needed for population, that is where District 7 ultimately ended up on the map, is predominantly an urban Orlando urban core, urban service area district. And then as noted previously regarding District 6 in Tangelo Park, the possible changes for July or subsequent meetings for you might be if you were to advance this and then make that one change to the precincts. So that's my presentation. Thank you.
Yeah, go ahead and sit.
Thank you.
Yeah, Attorney White?
Thank you. This map actually does comply with the federal equal population law with the maximum population deviation of under 10% at 7.35%. The proposed boundaries districts are compact in shape. There are several municipalities that are split, and they are Apopka, Orlando, and Park. With regard to census-designated places, several of those are also split. Alafaya, Claricona, Conway, Horizon West, Lake Butler, Pine Hills, and South Apopka are split by districts. And all of the existing districts generally retain their cores. And under this proposal, the District 6 incumbent is shifted into District 3. This move is inconsequential, however, as the District 6 incumbent's term expires in 2026. And just another thing that I noted, under this plan, it shows the District 4 incumbent sort of on the cusp between what would be proposed Districts 4 and 5. However, if that were to happen, if the incumbent were to be shifted into District 5, that's also inconsequential because her term is also set to expire in 2026. So in summary, a review of the map plan proposal as well as the plan report prepared by the consultant appear to indicate a successful balance of the race-neutral traditional redistricting principles as well as federal and state law. Thank you.
Thank you. Scott, anything? Okay. We will open discussion then on this map, which is Spears 4. And Gordon, since you supported it, I'll give you the floor first. Into the system.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And Mr. Pham, thank you for taking the time and consideration to create this map. I think that it's successful in a number of ways. I like that you have put keeping the urban population, the most urban core of our city together in a single district. This is something that I've spoken of before, and I think it's a really important thing that we not dilute the urban voice. Some of the ways that I think it's less with the urban east, the rural east. The rural east, the character of the rural east is pretty much the same to the north and the south, even the part to the south. But the character of it is very similar, and the culture of it. District, I'm sorry, I don't know how you have it numbered, but the district in the northeast part of the county is still very, it's not as long and skinny as it is now, but it's still quite long and skinny, and I think that it could be made more compact. But overall, I think that this is a successful effort. Now, I agree with the comment that you even made criticizing your own map about Tangelo Park. And I believe that Tangelo Park should stay with the other core areas of District 6. So that's another shortcoming. Now, from a political standpoint, the fact that you map so many of the incumbents out of their current districts is problematic. But that's a political problem and not really a problem with the redistricting. I'm inclined to forward because I do think it addresses some of the issues. And
Thank you, Gordon. Any other comments? Jimmy, and then Joe.
Thank you, Mr. Pham, for preparing this map. I have some other concerns and it's concerns that I'm going to keep going back with communities again to reach a certain divide that I sometimes don't even understand. We're still going back to the idea of giving the two new districts, making them white and heavily white, and saying to everybody, we're going to keep the same two Hispanics and one black community, and neither of them deserve to have one of the new ones. That's concerning. But I should say one thing. I work with Dave, and if you put back Tangelo Park, the reason it was taken out in your map and everybody else is taking it out, because Tangelo Park, if you take it out, it makes a jump from 42 to 49%. That's a given. So if you put back Tangelo Park, it will go down to 42%. But I would like to start a discussion right now about, and ask my compadres here of District 6. There's one thing about this map that needs to be discussed. Many people have been pushing 2 African-American districts. That's not something that would we be more comfortable with one strong District 6 or a weak District 6 and a weak District 8 or 7? That's something that needs to be discussed. And to me, that is something that's always been a quandary. I'm going to say that. And my comparators of District 6 can answer that, but this map is the first one that comes here and says, hey, let's create a strong District 6 and forget about creating a second African-American district. So maybe that's something that needs to be discussed. Thank you.
Thanks, Jimmy. Joe?
Thank you, Mr. Pham, for putting this map together. I'm going to be a no on the map. My concerns, number one, are that your District 1, I think, just puts too many communities together. I understand what you say about Lake Apopka issues. I'm a member of the Friends of Lake Apopka board. I'm a former chair of that board. Being involved in Lake Apopka issues, I've never detected any interest from Orange County in Lake Apopka. It just doesn't happen. The county that's interested in Lake Apopka is Lake County, because that's where the water goes. But so I'm not sure that, you know, having Lake Apopka interest as a reason for creating that district, I just don't think it holds up. I also think that District 2 on this map, it puts Apopka residents together with Winter Park residents, and I think we might have open warfare if that occurs. So there are just a number of issues related to this map that makes me no. That's it.
Thank you, Joe. Jason.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Pham, thank you for your work on this map. I know you've heard it from other folks, but it's a very difficult process, and I appreciate the time that you put in. I do appreciate your comment about Tangelo as well. Tangelo is a very important part of District 6. And I get what you're saying. If we advance this, we can always go back, but I cannot vote for a map that takes that out of the district. Secondarily, I do want to address or at least answer Mr. Alphon's question. I'll answer it two ways. One, that's not up to me to decide. I think that's why we're here. We have other board members. We also have folks from the community who have made their wants known. My perspective is from District 6, obviously. I'm a District 6 resident. I live in Pine Hills as well. What I do want us to be careful of, though, and I'm not accusing you of this, is let's not get into the idea of packing Black people or minorities in general just into one area. And again, Jimmy, I'm not leveling this toward you, but more that gives me concern for one strong Black district, because that means we're just going to be in one area, and our potential interests are only going to be put forth by one person. So, absolutely. Us to stay away from that, but I do appreciate the question that you put forth, but I'll be a no on this.
Thank you, Jason. Tom?
Thank you, Mr. Pham. It took a lot of work. I've done a lot of work on my maps that will be coming next couple, 3 meetings, whatever. But on this map, I think, following up with what Mr. Kills was spoken by the mayor of Apopka, I have also a problem with compactness. I think it spreads too many districts too many ways. I don't know if calling District 1 now District 8 makes much sense, or District 2 now call that District 1. Those are concerns I have, and then the areas. So I think the compactness, I think it's a different type of problem with compactness. And I believe also that the green district, whichever one that was, again, it doesn't solve the problem we have, what we have currently today. And so I think that's kind of a concern I have as well. I did try, it's challenging to, as Jimmy has told us, to drop, 50,000 residents or 60,000 residents per district, and try to meet everyone's wish list that they provided us, keeping Oro Vista together, keeping Pine Hills together, keeping Tangelo Park in that area, addressing the Winter Park Maitland issue, keeping District 1 intact, not splitting that up. So I do admire this. I'm going to look at it some more. Thank you very much, but I probably won't. I may not support this tonight.
Thank you, Tom. Are there any other speakers interested in speaking on this map? I have none on my screen. Seeing none, is there a motion on the map?
I move that we deny the request.
We have a motion on the floor from Member Alphonse to deny advancing this map. Is there a second? And the second came from? All right, well, I'm going to call it Fazzini anyway. Okay, let's discuss then. Is there any additional discussion on this, Mr. Pham? What I would tell you, if this does not turn out right, you still have time, because you clearly put a lot of time and thought into this, to change it and resubmit it one more time. So is there any additional discussion on this map? Seeing none, I'll call the question. Clerk, please call the roll.
Member Olszewski. Member Kilshammer. Member De La Portilla. Member Arias is absent. Member Talon. Member Washington. Member Jones. Co-Chair Evans.
Aye.
Co-Chair, Member Baga. Member Spears. Member Affont. Member Pazzini. Member Henry. Motion passes to reject the map.
The motion carries. Mr. Pham, please do not let that discourage you in any way. And if you wish to resubmit, I know one of us will be happy to work with you on that. I think you did a wonderful job on the map. Before we continue to the next map, my co-chair has advised me that Commissioner Oliver from the Ocoee City Commission is here. I don't know if you want to share words with us. Nothing to say? Okay, well, welcome to the meeting. We appreciate you being here. We will move on to the next map, which is Kilsheimer 1. Joe, do you want to introduce
Yes.
Ms. Vargo?
Vicky Vargo, member, is a former Orlando City Commissioner, has been a member, she's been part of this process along with all of the rest of us. She took the training. She was there taking the training for the maps when I was taking my training. She attended virtually all, if not all, of the public comment sessions in all of the various parts of the county. And she's been as interested in this process as any of the rest of us have. And so she asked me to submit a map for her, and I did. So with further ado,
Okay.
Vicky Vargo.
Vicky, please. As you know, you've got 5 minutes. Hopefully you'll keep it to that. If we have to go a little long, we'll send some courtesies.
Thank you, Vicki Vargo, 3800 Winged Foot Court, Orlando, Florida, 32808. I had 3 goals in mind when I created my map. I wanted a map that's close to the current map. I want to make your job easier in 2030. And I wanted to create one district which may not require any changes in 2030, making it good until 2040, and that is District 6. So for District 1, we've got Williamsburg, Hunters Creek, Meadow Woods, going all the way to Lake Nona to create the new new 8. And in 2030, because I was thinking ahead to 2030, I'm looking at the potentially you could move the Sand Lake South precincts into 8, down to the apartments by Disney, and you could move that into 8. So that would be a potential plan for District 1. District 2, Pine Hills, Rosemont, Huntley Park, over to Winter Park to make the new 7. I think that that's a good plan. It keeps Apopka, all the Apopka precincts together. It keeps Lockhart, except for one precinct in Lockhart, which I addressed in map 2, which you'll see. So there's one precinct in Lockhart. But for in 2030, the precincts north of Pine Hills could go to District 7, which would then keep Lockhart together in District 2. District 3 had to move east and picked up the downtown Orlando neighborhoods as well as some neighborhoods in City of Orlando District 3, the Audubon Park, Colonial Town North, and Baldwin Park. So, but in 2030, and in this map, I unified Pine Hills, Union Park, and I thought I had everything in Azalea Park, but there was one little precinct, which I guess I didn't see, but that's been addressed in map 2. So I attempted to unify those 3 neighborhoods. In 2030, I can see Azalea Park and the precinct south of Curry Ford Road, making District 3 close to the boundaries that it is today. So that would be a plan for 2030. In District 4, I gave some of the big neighborhoods to District 5, Commissioner Semrod's district, unified Union Park and Azalea Park, and with the goal to move continuing to move it further south toward new development east of Lake Nona. We know, for example, that there is a developer that wants to develop 52,000 acres of the Desiree Ranch. And based on my review of the Orange County Property Appraisers website, that's basically a little bit north. I think that they'll start at Lake Nona because they talk about annexation, go a little bit north of Lake Mary Jane, around, and then east of Wedgefield. So there'll be a lot of growth in District 4, so I think District 4 is going to continue to move south, and that's why it's important to have those 2 precincts, or those 2 districts like is shown on the current map. District 5 is now Cimarron, Commissioner Cimarron's district is now east of Cimarron. It picks up some of the big neighborhoods from District 4. And in 2030, I would move Union Park and more of the other big neighborhoods like Avalon into District 5. Again, that moves kind of District 4 down, but it creates a compact District 5 for 2030. District 6 donates Pine Hills to create District 7. This district may be good until 2040 with development in downtown Orlando. District 7, Pine Hills to Winter Park. In 2030, there's lots of ways to grow in either 2, 3, or 5, and I don't have any problem putting Pine Hills with Winter Park because I think that there are opportunities for representation to help Pine Hills move forward. District 8, we've got the Disney apartments, from the Disney apartments in District 1 to Lake Nona in the Lake Mary Jane area. And I mentioned the 52,000 acres that surely will start to be developed within the next 5 years. And just as it relates to Pine Hills, I think that we're pretty well.
Vicki, can you finish in 3 more minutes?
Okay. Pretty well set on keeping it together, but if there was ever a desire to divide it, may I suggest that Pine Hills is made up of 2 zip codes, 32808, which is Pine Hills Road and Evans, and then 32818, which is the precincts from Powers Drive west to Ocoee, and you might be better to, if you did need to divide it up, to look at doing it by precincts and maybe start at 32818 by Ocoee if that was necessary. I just want to, can you please put up this one here? Bring up the voting age population as it relates to District 6. I think this was brought up in another meeting, and I just wanted to show that in District 6 shows a Black alone voting age population of about 38,000, but if you look at the voting age of the population that has more than one race, it is the second highest. Only District 1 has a higher, more than one race. And I think because it is in District 6, although we don't have any documentation, I think probably most of the people in that category, one of their races is Black. So if you take that into consideration, potentially the voting age population is 43.97, which I think is a reasonable expectation. So those are my comments, and I hope that you'll take into consideration on the map, given my goals. Thank you.
Thank you, Vicki. Joe, would you like to start with any comments? It's your map sponsored.
I don't have any specific comments. I think this map kind of balances the districts in a way that I think is attractive to for this committee's consideration, and I support the map.
Ask staff to stop the.
That's okay.
No, it was me, not you, Joe.
So this map presumptively meets the one-person, one-vote threshold with a maximum population deviation of 8.88%. As Ms. Vargo has already noted, this map does not comply with the numbering due to the fact that it keeps the incumbent within the general boundaries of what is presently District 5, but changes it from an odd number to an even number. And as a reminder for everyone, including the public, the statute requires that county commissioners from odd number districts be elected at the general election in each year, the number of which is a multiple of 4. And for county commissioners from even numbered districts to be elected at the general election in each even numbered year, the number of which is not a multiple of 4. Say that 3 times fast. The proposed districts are contiguous. They are fairly compact. Orlando, Winter Garden, and Winter Park are the only 3 municipalities that are split. Alafaya, Azalea Park, and Lockhart are the census-designated places that are split. All existing districts generally retain their cores. All incumbents remain in their districts. And in summary, a review of the plan report and the map appear to indicate a successful balance of the race-neutral traditional redistricting principles, as well as federal and state law.
Thank you, Attorney White. Bobby?
Just
Please
a
start the clock
clarification for Ms. Vargo, if you want to walk back up to the dais. You said you are going to submit a second map because there's a precinct that you inadvertently added and you want to add to a second map. Is that correct?
Yeah, I have another map that's Mayor Kirschheimer has brought forward for me. So basically, there's a little sliver of Azalea Park that I missed that I meant to bring in. I brought in that Lockhart precinct into 2, and then I wasn't sure, I didn't really want to necessarily split Winter Garden, so I brought that in and just made a few changes there. So that map will be coming forward with the proper numbering on July 9th. So it's basically this map with some tweaks.
Let me just ask then, thank you for bringing that up, Bobby. There is a process just to withdraw the map and save us the conversation and the vote here. If you've got another one coming, it is absolutely, actually your option, Mayor, but we don't have to. We can still have the conversation, other input for you, or if you want to withdraw and resubmit, you can still resubmit notwithstanding, just preserving time.
Well, I'd rather not withdraw because of the Horizon West Winter Garden issue that keeps coming up.
Okay.
So this map kind of gives some flexibility there. But, you know, we talk about not splitting precincts and everything. So if I could, I'd just like to leave this one.
It's just an option, and you may learn from the dialogue and change your next.
Right.
You may learn from the dialogue. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Are you, Bobby?
You know, as I look at this map, I think, you know, in our bracketology here of maps here, I think Jimmy's map is now knocked from the #1 spot in my mind. I think this is a good map to work from to submit our map to the county commission. So I'll be voting in support of this.
Thank you. Angel.
Thank you, Ms. Vargo, for submitting this map, but I do have a number of concerns. As we have repeated, I stated this at our May meeting, and I think my colleague, Mr. Henry, stated at the last meeting. This map dilutes the African-American vote in District 6. And in addition, you didn't even try to create a second African-American district, because we've seen maps come in that have a drop in the voting age population in District 6, but it's picked up elsewhere. This map does not do that. And also, so it drops it from currently at 48% to 38.44. That's a significant drop, about 25% drop in voting age population in the black community in District 6. It does the same thing for the Hispanic community in District 3, where the Hispanic voting age population is now 36.75. I will let my colleague, Jimmy Alfont, expand on that later. Also, back to District 6, the comment that you made about the assumption that the other category, there might be some, there's no data to support that. So we cannot go under the assumption that just because the other is a higher category, that doesn't mean that you're capturing voting age population African American. So that's a false assumption. And finally, I think we're focused on 2025. We're not thinking ahead to 2030, much less 2040. I may not be around in 2040. I hope to be around in 2030. So, but I cannot support this map, Mr. Chair, and sorry, Joe, and maybe there's a better map ahead. Thank you.
Thank you, Angel. Jason.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Ms. Vargo, appreciate the map and the work. I echo my colleagues' comments. Not really much more to add. 38% is way too low for me. I heard your other comment that there are other races that could bring that up to 43%. But again, if we look at the history of District 6, as has been stated in the past, we're at 48% right now. This takes us down to 38. The other thing, I did hear your comment about matching Pond Hills, Winter Park. As a resident, I do have a little bit of an issue with that. Not because I have anything against Winter Park, but because of where Pine Hills is matched now, they are in, or they are matched with communities of the same interest. And Winter Park and Maitland likely do not have the same interest as Pine Hills. But in any event, I appreciate the work, but I'm down on this map. Thank you.
Thank you, Jason. Jimmy?
Okay, and respond to Mr. De La Portilla. District 3 was our first Hispanic district, and to take it from a 46% Hispanic and make it into 54% white, it's not acceptable to me at all. If you're going to work also your map, I'm going to say one thing. Mr. Fang gave us a map with one African-American district with 47%. This one goes down to 38. That's a 9-point down. I cannot accept that as feasible. The other issue that I would like to bring up to everybody, and I'm going to keep repeating this, and I'm sorry if I keep repeating myself, but why are we thinking we're going to give 37% of the population 67% of the representation? We keep saying we want to give 5 white districts. They're only 37% of the population. Between the African American and Hispanics, we're 53%, but we're still keeping us with the 3 little minority districts. That is something that I must say really does not make sense. I do not want to go back to the community and say, yeah, we created 2 new districts and we made them white. We didn't consider giving one to Hispanics, any other minority, which, by the way, we're no longer minority. Thank you.
Gordon.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Chair. So I'm also troubled with this, Ms. Vargo, with taking Pine Hills out of District 6. I think that there's a natural affinity for the populations, not to mention the history. I don't really see how Winter Park and Maitland and Pine Hills go together at all. So that to me is the biggest drawback to this map. The thing that I like about it is the way that you kept the urban core in a single district. But I think the keeping Pine Hills out of District 6 or separating them from the people that they've traditionally been with and have an affinity with, I think that's enough to keep me from voting for this. So thank you.
Thank you, Gordon. Jimmy, will you turn off your mic so that
Oh,
others can get in queue? No, that's okay. Tom?
Commissioner Vargo, thank you very much for your service. You were our city commissioner many years ago, and you were very attentive and very helpful to us. So I appreciate that, and I appreciate the effort that you put into this. I'm looking forward to your second iteration of this. I like the kind of concept you talked about of having the urban areas be more locked in for 2030. I hadn't thought about that till today, so I thank you for that concept.
Erica?
Thank you. Yes, Ms. Vargo, similar to what Member Callan has to say, there are many things about this map that I like, and obviously a lot of things that give me pause and concern. So I am really looking forward to seeing your next map. Thank you.
I have no other speakers in queue. Does anyone else wish to speak on this? Oh, Alejandro.
Ms. Vargo, thank you. Appreciate the map you submitted. You and I, obviously, we worked very close together in the 2022 redistricting process for the city of Orlando. And I appreciate the fact that you have Tangelo Park staying in District 6. And I also saw Metro West that remain in District 6. And we haven't spoken of Metro West, but that's an important community to District 6. However, the way you've diluted the northern portion of the district, which has a significant African-American voting age population, makes it difficult for me to support this map. So it'll be a no for me as well.
Thank you. Does anyone else wish to care to speak on the map? Seeing none, do I hear a motion?
Map 1.
Motion by Member Portilla, seconded by Member Alfont. Is there any additional discussion The motion is to reject the map. Again, Ms. Fargo from the chair, thank you for the effort. And I think everybody's looking forward to round two. So let's go ahead and vote then. If no one.
Member Shusty?
The motion is to reject, so you're supporting. Just want to be clear, the motion was to reject the map. Okay, thank you.
Member Jackson? Member Kilsheimer? Member De La Portilla? Member Arias is absent. Member Callen? Member Washington?
Yes.
Member Jones? Co-Chair Perez?
Aye.
Co-Chair Evans? Member Baga? Member Spears? Member Rafat? Member Pizzini? Member Henry? Motion passes.
Motion passes. Ms. Fargo, again, thank you so much. And we're all looking for round two coming up soon. Let's go ahead and move on to David. You've got a map.
Right. Thank you, Co-Chair. Is this on? Great. Thank you, Co-Chair. Thank you, committee. And thank you to our public attendees in person and also online. I am proud to sponsor the Washington One map created by James Callahan, a data scientist and dear friend of mine. And without further ado, Mr.
You got 5 minutes, as I know you know, and let's try to keep it tight.
Thank you, Jim Callahan, 204 East South Street. Even though I live close to this building, I did attend all the remote meetings as well. Okay, we can go to the next slide. Oh, the clicker here. Okay. I want to thank you again for your time and all the work you've put into this, and also to the other people who've submitted maps. But tonight's vote is not to adopt a plan. We've sort of covered this already in the discussion. And even any retained map is likely to be amended. And just to give you a preview, the very last slide, I have 7 recommendations for amendments to this map, because I realize there are flaws in it. It has to do with the, just mistakes I made, and also because the DAYS VRA software is not a GIS, so you can't necessarily zoom in and see exactly what you're looking at. So I'm trying to pick out, like, oh, there's Cimarron Boulevard, there's I-4, other landmarks, and then work from there. The maps that the public sees on the website are much more detailed than we saw when we were drawing the maps. I think you probably share that experience. I started conceptually with the legislative maps. I actually imported the legislative maps into DAYS Redistricting, but I couldn't really figure out how to actually start with that in a programming sense. The reason for that, for starting with the legislative maps, is to avoid making race the primary criteria. On one hand, we want to create a Pine Hills district, but if we start from scratch and say we're creating a Pine Hills district, then we're open to attack, saying that, oh, that's a racial gerrymander, you know. I mean, even though we're under obligation to create 2 new districts, well, why are you creating one in Pine Hills? There's already a legislative district there, and so I use that as a starting point. The legislative districts have already been vetted, and something to address a concern that people have had, that we want knowledgeable and experienced people for our county commissioners because of our large budget and responsibilities. If we start with the legislative districts, it makes it easier to move from the legislature to the county that they have experience with the state budget and with the state lawmaking process and preemption and those sorts of issues coming into the county commission. Now, they also may pick up bad habits of associating with unsavory lobbyists, but, you know, comes part of the package. Looking at, and one of the questions is, why didn't I just submit this map? At the top there, District 37, those would essentially be unassigned precincts. There are 10 districts there, and District 37 is mostly in Seminole County, so those District 37 wind up being unassigned precincts. And then at the southern portion of the map, that little red rectangle, District 47 is mostly in Osceola County, and those would essentially be unassigned precincts. Then the other 8 districts do form the possibility of a county commission district. But as you'll notice, District 35 is huge, which is fine on the state level because there are a lot of rural areas in the state, and so it's not going to necessarily be the largest district in the state. But in terms of Orange County, let's see. How do I switch to this? Oh, it's on here now. Or no? Oh, that's okay. It's the same map here. You can see that almost half the map is District 35. So it was sort of dramatic on here because you could actually see the folds in the map. But that's not a legal definition of compact, which has more to do with the shape. But that might raise questions in a judge's mind. This slide I've already covered. So essentially the fix is to assign the unassigned border precincts to nearby districts and rebalance the east side of Orange County. And so that's sort of an informal numbering of it. So I assign District 37 to District 5 and District 47 to District 44 as a first approximation, but then you have to go through the population rebalancing. Can you go back, please? Yeah, sure.
Jim, can you wrap up in 5 more minutes?
Yes.
Thank you.
Something else to point here is it creates a problem for District 3 Commissioner because the Cimarron Boulevard portion of her district is separate, you know, in what I've numbered as District 4 now. So so District 4 would be Commissioner Maribel Cordero, and District 3 would be Myra Uribe. I think I've covered that. In terms of your sheet, the first map, in terms of the report, the first map is hard to read because the two districts, District 2 and District 8, are both yellow, and so it runs together. But it's easier to see in Dave's redistricting app, which is what I was using. And I made a point of trying to keep the commissioners in their own districts with their own district number, so we avoid those issues. Ran into other issues, but I at least tried to avoid that one. And then Christine Moore is still in District 2. The issue there is I was trying to get south of Popka there, and there's just a sharp distinction when you go from Apopka to south of Popka socially. It's a very short distance geographically, but you're socially, just like when you go to West Orlando, there's a difference between there and downtown. The District 4, the Maribel Cordero district there, has a boundary at Cimarron Boulevard. And the intersection of Cimarron Boulevard and Colonial is significant because just in from there, about 3 blocks each way, is Colonial High School, which was home to Coach P and also to our current legislative district's chair, whose name is escaping me at the moment. I apologize. So it's a center of leadership there. And so as you go down Cimarron Boulevard, there's a Stonewall Jackson Middle School, which, because of a community effort, was renamed Roberto Clemente Middle School. You go a little bit further down on Cimarron Boulevard, there's Ana Mendez University, which is a branch of a university in Puerto Rico. So all those 3 sites on the east side of Cimarron Boulevard are culturally significant. And so I hope in any plan you consider that Seminole County boundary there. You could possibly wiggle a little along Cimarron Boulevard, but that does show a culturally significant thing there. That's not just a census-derived thing. In Pine Hills, that sort of odd projection up there, I'll cover it later, but essentially I think the boundary should be along Apopka Vineland Road. It's just that the precincts don't run that way. In the interest of time, I'll move along. Address the plan report. There was that issue of both districts looking yellow and being hard to read, and it's clear when you look at the majority plurality map. Just as we just had this discussion, the population is reduced in District 6, but we did create the new district in Pine Hills. And again, we've split up the current District 3, but we have a very culturally significant District 4, and the new District 3 still retains a significant population and is connected by the Beltway and the Beach Line Expressway, so it's reachable. I split up some municipalities, and some of that can be cleaned up by making the northern border of District 7 look more like House District 42. And as I just discussed, the district between, the border between, no, I didn't discuss this, I'm sorry. The border between District 7 and District 5. That would help unite the municipalities also.
Jim, can you wrap? Can you wrap?
And let me just cover that last point there. I'm willing to take an amendment to make District 6 have all House District 41, which is represented by Representative Antone, which would be proof positive that they can elect a representative of their choice, which is hard to establish otherwise.
Thank you, Jim. Attorney White.
Thank you. So this map also presumptively complies with the one person, one vote threshold with a maximum population deviation at 7.94%. The proposed numbering is also that newly drawn District 7 being subjected to the initial abbreviated term. The proposed boundaries are contiguous. The proposed districts are compact. There are multiple municipalities that are split. They are Apopka, Belle Isle, Ocoee, Orlando, Winter Garden, and Winter Park. The census-designated places that are split are Alafaya, Claricona, Fairview Shores, Horizon West, Hunters Creek, Pine Castle, South Apopka, and Union Park. Districts 1, 2, 5, and 6 generally retain their cores, and this map also keeps the incumbents residing within their districts. And in sum, a review of the plan report and the map appear to indicate a successful balance of the race-neutral traditional redistricting principles as well as federal and state law. Thank you.
Thank you, Attorney White. David, you want to kick us off?
Sure. Thank you. I applaud Jim for his intuition and initiative to use the legislative districts as a starting point. That was one of the reasons why I supported sponsoring this particular map. So I applaud you for that. And then, as Jim discussed, and as he and I have discussed privately, there are some issues, revisions that are required, and he stated that in the amendments in the last portion of his presentation, and I agree with him. Overall, I appreciate the effort and looking forward to a conversation with Mr. Callahan.
Thank you, David. Does anyone wish to speak? Rishi.
Thank you, Jim. This is a great job. Like, I'm on the east side, so I always look east on these maps first. One thing I think we don't hear about enough, and it may just be because it's probably impossible to come from Lake Nona to here by 6 o'clock, and that's just because of the amount of growth that's there. We don't always talk about that, but I do appreciate that being a separate area because I think it's almost easy to split it, but as it is now. But I think having it in one area and then keeping as much of Alafaya, which is where I live, intact, I think is important too. That kind of crosses over into Winter Park, but I think that's something that can be adjusted. But overall, I like a lot what that is here, and I think it can serve as a bit of a starting place. So, thank you.
Tom.
Thank you, Jim. It's hard to vote against a guy named Callahan when your name is Callan. I hadn't seen a configuration of that before. And I think it's kind of provocative to look at that part, and I think that's interesting. It does suffer from some of the infirmities that we discussed on the previous map, I believe, with regard to the area, Splitting Pine Hills area there north of 50. Also, I believe, I don't like the wraparound of the green area, District 5 around Winter Park up that area, but I feel like at this point in time, I'm just kind of saying like I'm going to a paint store. I don't like that color. I don't like that color. I don't like that color. And I think we got to have another map out there to look at some point in time. I don't know if this is the map or not.
Jimmy.
Jim, we've known us for years, and I know you put a lot of effort and thought into this. I'm just concerned about two things. That corner up in District 8 is kind of questionable. You want to talk about packing, that's a thing to pack. I'm concerned that we're going back again, District 6 to 37%. I know there's a push to make two African-American districts, and I understand that. I'm not trying to say it's a bad idea, Jim. But what we're doing is sacrificing 6 to make a new one. And that is unacceptable to me. And again, have just District 3 and District 4, and we're creating some districts here that realistically, and you went now 3, what was 4 is now 3, and what was 3 is now 4. That's something that also is kind of interesting, but I would have to say that knowing you for years, you got to go back and tweak this. So for now, I'm going to have to reject this one and bring me something better, and we can talk about it, okay?
Jason.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Really a question for Jim. The finger that's in District 8 that matches South Apopka with Pine Hills, was that to try to get the voting age population a little higher, or to just match a community, like communities of interest together?
Historically, the commissioner from District 2 is from the city of Apopka political culture. And by analogy with Orlando, that would be like including West Orlando being represented by somebody downtown or east. you know, you just sort of cross a divide and it's somewhat different. And it's a portion of unincorporated Orange County that Apopka is not incorporated yet. Although I understand they're annexed yet, I understand there's an effort to annex it right now as we speak, but I don't know what the outcome would be. If it was annexed, then sure, you know, it's part of Apopka, we should keep Apopka together. But right now it's not part of Apopka, and that's the problem.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I had another question, but I forgot.
Go ahead, you've got
No,
the mic,
no,
Jason.
I forgot it. I'll come back.
Thank you, Mr. Callahan. Appreciate the map. Just as I stated in my previous comment, or the previous map, Ms. Vargo, I think the change to the District 6 is too significant as it relates to the African-American voting age population. And I'm a little troubled, not necessarily troubled, I'm looking at this effort to move Pine Hills into a single district, and I'm not sure it's feasible to do that without sacrificing District 6 as a whole. So I'm still trying to wrap my head around it, and I know there have been a lot of folks that came from district, or from Pine Hill rather, and spoke of it, but I'm not certain we can accomplish that, you know, having Pine Hills within a single district without modifying the composition of District 6 as is today. So that's my comment, and it's a no for me.
Gordon?
Jim, thanks for the map. I really like the idea of looking at the state rep districts. I think that's a kind of clever way to do it, and it also gives us some insight into the voting patterns in these different communities. I wanted to say something about the idea of 2 African-American districts, because if you look at the numbers, the population of the county doesn't really justify 2 African-American districts. If we were talking about a majority within the districts, the numbers justify about 1.5 districts. So I just want to put that out there. And also, just because a district might be majority white doesn't mean that we're going to elect a white person to office. I live in a district where, or I live in a part of Orange County where we have elected a white district, but we've elected an African American to represent us in U.S. Congress. We've elected a Iranian American woman to represent us in the state legislature. So the voting patterns are going to be different from one part to the other. And as far as packing goes, there's a difference. If you look at the dot map that we've been provided with in doing these delineations, they will show us where people are mixed together and where people have chosen to live together with other people of the same race. And I think that that really needs to inform us as to how we divide these districts. If it's a district where the people have chosen to live together with people that are of the same race, of the same ethnicity, we need to respect that. But if it's an area like my part of the county where the people have chosen to live in a very diverse area and have demonstrated a willingness to elect people that don't necessarily look like them, but represent their values. And so I just wanted to say that. This is not the question of packing and gerrymandering is not a simple question. I think that we need to go back and see how the people themselves have arranged themselves in their population. Thank you.
Thank you, Gordon. Does anyone else wish to speak on this map? Seeing none, is there a motion?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the map.
Got a motion from Member Washington to approve the map. Is there a second? A second by Ms. Jones. Any discussion?
I understand the goals. I like the idea. You looked at the districts by the state and all that. I'm concerned about compactness still in that regard, and that's a concern I have.
Thank you. Any additional discussion on the motion? The motion is to advance this map forward. I'll call the question. Seeing no additional comment, clerk, will you please call the roll?
Member Oshesti. Member Jackson. Member Kilsheimer. Member De La Portilla. Member Arias is absent. Member Callen. Member Washington.
Yes.
Member Jones.
Yes.
Co-Chair Perez.
No.
Co-Chair Evans. No. Member Baga.
Yes.
Member Spears. Aye. Member Afont.
Nay.
Member Pizzini.
Nay.
Member Henry.
Nay.
Motion fails.
Motion fails. Yes. Jim, thank you for the work, and I hope you'll be back before the end of the month with some revisions, because I think you had a very interesting starting point as well. We have completed our maps for the evening.
I'm sorry, Mr. Co-Chair. I think another motion is warranted here since it failed.
Oh, you're right. You're right. The motion failed. No, is there? The motion was to pass, and it failed. So we have rejected the map.
Correct, but I think we need a motion to reject at this point. And
I will follow your counsel. Jimmy Afont moves to reject the map. Is there a second? And a second from Member Henry. Okay. Is there any discussion on the second motion? Seeing none, clerk, will you please call the roll again?
Member Oshesti. Member Johnson. Member Kilsheimer. Member De La Portilla. Member Arias is absent. Member Callen. Member Washington. Member Jones. That was a no. Okay, thank you. Co-Chair Perez.
Aye.
Co-Chair Evans. Aye. Member Baga. Member Spears. Member Afont. Aye. Member Pizzini. Aye. Member Henry. Aye. Motion passes.
Okay, so the map has, and again, thank you. Thanks for the hard work. At this point, we will move into general discussion of any issues. Madam Co-Chair? Else have any? I will have some, but does anyone have comments for general discussion? Jason?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'll be real quick. Just a quick update. Pine Hills has submitted a map, so that will be coming soon from the Pine Hills Community Council. Good. But I do want to, Jim, I really do appreciate your map. I know how much time you put in on it, but I also know, you know, the history of 6. So I am looking forward to your next map because I think we are trending in the right direction. It's that 30% that just got me. But I really did appreciate what as we continue to draw these, if we do split Pine Hills, just to be frank, it is going to change what District 6 looks like. That's just kind of where we are. And I think everyone recognizes that, independent of growth that's happening. Yeah, if we don't keep it split, then it's going to be hard to have 2 of those. So I just take a look at the maps, look at the communities, look at what some of that are in the neighborhood. Thanks.
David?
Would it be appropriate to ask a question about one of the maps on the informational part of the agenda?
Absolutely.
Is this appropriate? Good. Just in regards to the determination of what decision is made, I hope I'm saying this correctly, when you tally the non-Hispanic more than 2 races. There seems to be a quirk in the days redistricting that doesn't have that information when we're creating our maps, but when it's under review by legal and by Art, the team, redistricting team, it takes that number out and it affects the voting age population of blacks in District 6. How can that be reconciled?
Attorney White or Scott?
I can't answer that, but,
Go ahead.
no, I said I can't
Okay.
answer that.
I'll check with the consultant to get an answer, and I'll share that with the group. I'll get some clarification on that.
Thank you, Scott. I just saw that change our numbers, however slightly, for Washington map 2, if I remember correctly. So it's just kind of like.
Good question, David. And Scott, you certainly before the next meeting,
Yes.
as soon as you get it, so we can take a look at that as we plan for the next couple of weeks. Jimmy?
Yes. You know, Jason, you brought up a point that I think needs to be discussed. Realistically, this is the reason I, from day one, objected to the 8 districts, because somehow you have to lose. I can't take out of the south of District 6 for reasons that I don't need to discuss here. I can't take from the, really, I probably could take something out of the east of District 6 and put it in District 3, but that would not be sufficient numbers. I've done maps since 2010. I know how to prepare these maps, and I've been trying and breaking my head to find a way that I can leave part of Pine Hills in District 6 and still have it comply with the 178 or even 183 number. That is where I think the frustration on my part comes, because that was why I said we shouldn't do this. Because realistically, I cannot see how I could take out of District 6 and still live Pine Hills in there and leave Tangelo Park. It's impossible. Numerically, it's impossible. I tried that. I spent many evenings in my house on my computer. Like Jim said once, I know Dave very closely, and I know, and Dave is the software for those of you who are wondering. Okay, and there's no way that I could do that. And that's something that needs to be discussed. If somebody can find a way, I'll back that 100%, but I don't know how to do it and leave the rest of District 6. Something, in all of plain English, something has to give, and I'm not sure what. And that's why I've been asking what would be acceptable, because something has to give. And nobody has told me, well, this is acceptable. So that's where I'm coming from. Thank you.
Thank you, Jimmy. Jason?
All right, I understand, I'm trying to go back and forth, but I think Pine Hills really is the linchpin to this. If we, how it is now is that we're at 48%. Obviously, we lose 70,000 people. We can get is fine. It is how much we do that. So I know that there's been a discussion about, and I appreciate Gordon's comments as well. Like we have a very diverse county, we have a very diverse constituency. At the same time, though, when I'm looking at Jim's map, like I understand why South Apopka was matched with Pine Hills. Absolutely. So, Jimmy, I need you to break your head a little bit harder.
Okay, I'll do that.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Jason. Tom?
I think the African-American population in the county is 19%, maybe growing. And so if we do divide the county into 8 districts, that's 12.5% population per district. And so I know it's a challenge we have. I tried to keep Tangelo Park with Pine Hills, and the population total was 229,000 people, and that map was rejected. And so I know it's a challenge. We still got to work it out. I think it's a nip and tuck type thing. Try to figure it out.
Thanks. Any other general comments? I just want to add, It's about to start getting hard, right? This has been a journey. We've learned a great deal. We've partnered, we've engaged, we've gotten to know each other. A couple of weeks, these next couple of meetings are going to be harder. We're going to have some tough conversations on some tough decisions to make. If you're in the public and want to submit a map, please, sooner than later, reach out to one of us so that it can get sponsored, and reach out to multiple in case someone chooses not to sponsor the map. If you're going to file maps again, when we stop accepting maps after July 6th, there will be a backup. We're not going to get through July 3rd, thank you. We're not going to get to all of them at the first meeting after that. So we're going to take them in the order that they are submitted. So if you want to get them looked at, that's great. By the time we're looking at the maps that we have passed along, one so far, our consultants will be here. We can change on the fly, which will make for longer, more complicated meetings. So I just want to prepare you for that, and thank you for the work that you're doing. Vicki, Jim, those of you who submitted maps, thank you so very much. The engagement is hugely important, and we learn from every one of those. It's going to get interesting. Some of these meetings are going to get longer, but we're going to try to manage them in a way. And I appreciate everyone keeping your comments as brief as could be. We did not hit 15 minutes in any of our map discussions yet, and that speaks well. It means we're not repeating ourselves. We're not showboating. Well, most of us. We're not. Sorry, Jim. And that's going to be that's going to be important as we move forward. So I appreciate that. Does anyone have any other comments? Looking for a motion? Got a motion from going to adjourn, an enthusiastic second by Mr. Affont. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. And opposed, we stand adjourned.